Yo, what up, good people? Sparing intros, I just want to get straight to the point by saying that all healing is self healing. Essentially, when you really think about the healing process of the body itself and even of the mind itself, there have been, from the time that we were born, there may have been a number of experiences that you may have been exposed, things that you may have been exposed to, or things that you may have experienced, heard, or seen that have affected you. And your body and your mind has built up a method to defend itself from the shock that you may have experienced or the trauma that you may have experienced. But once you begin to recognize and begin to identify those things that cause you to, in a sense, tense up or going into a defensive mode, which is it's a natural process. Don't let anybody tell you that it's unnatural to get into a defensive mode. That is part of the healing. Now, part of the healing that is a natural process that has been given to us, which what do they call it? The fight or the flight, right? It's a natural defense mechanism that has been given to us to shield our mind from things that it may have been exposed to, or things that have been said to us that have been traumatic, or things that have happened. You understand what I'm saying? But all in all, natural, just as natural as you have a defense mechanism, you also have a self-healing mechanism. As I said at the beginning of this message, all healing is self-healing. Once, and I've gone through this journey of stretching, and I have a number of stretch videos. As I begin to practice the art of stretching, and essentially what I'm practicing is yoga. But once I begin to take on the practice of actually stretching and sitting into poses, I begin to notice that, one, that I would feel certain tensions that I noticed were certain tensions along the spine that would affect my legs' ability to extend out laterally. Things that were in direct connection with my hips' ability to rotate outward. And then also, what I noticed is that upon releasing of that tension, it actually increased my body's ability to uh, draw in the breath at full capacity in those places um, that were once restricted. Okay, and then upon that as well, I also begin to make certain connections with an emotional trauma that I may have experienced a long time ago or in recent times. Okay. And also, upon recognizing or being able to identify those things that you may have experienced that were traumatic, upon identifying them, then you can go into the reason why that tension may have lied in your body, may have existed in your body. Okay. So once you're able to identify that and let those tensions go, you may still have some residue that is there, but you're going through the process of healing it, of allowing your body to draw in that breath, of allowing your body to extend beyond previous abilities, which were based on the restriction and the self-defense mechanism, because your body goes into that defense mechanism even when you were, much younger. You know what I'm saying? So even when you go to the office, and you sit on the couch, essentially what they are doing is guiding you into what is you healing yourself. Think about it. When you cut your leg, when you accidentally cut your leg on a razor blade or something, not a razor blade, that's a bad example, but you say you get snagged on a wire hanger and you cut yourself. Within days, or actually immediately, there's a process that your body has been given at birth. You had no control over that, over this process, over this healing process. You didn't create yourself. You know what I'm saying? So the creator that created this design knew to put in it at its very beginning a self-healing mechanism. Okay. Now that's talking about the gross physical body. That same thing or that same idea exists in the realm of the emotional realm, the emotional state. Okay. Then once you begin to unravel and unlock those things, you'll begin to feel um, maybe a rush of emotion and relief from some trauma or shock that you may have been holding on to for a very long time. So, all healing is self healing. It's just that when we experienced those things when we were younger, we didn't have the words or the capability to be able to express and identify what it is that we may have felt. We didn't have the words to identify when we saw that thing that shocked us. And then we actually felt within our body in certain locations within our body, because the body and its design is directly connected to the way that the body is designed, and the magnitude or the degree of the feeling that we may have felt at a time. It's directly connected to certain centers of the body. Ask me how I know this, how I'm able to express this, because I'm still going through the healing process, still stretching and using it as a practice and as a method, a self-balancing mechanism. So when you, when you go to the physician, or you go to talk to a psychologist, this is actually what's happening, but they aren't explaining the process to you. You just go through the process. But then at the same time, what happens to that is like a drug. If you take a drug, you will develop a dependency on that drug. The same thing or the same concept when it comes to people who deem themselves, you know what I'm saying? Um, how do I say? Um, I would say therapist. Those people who are there, and mind you, I'm not against any of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not against it at all. As a matter of fact, in my culture, times of old, we had what was called a council of elders, and amongst that council, which it was comprised of elders that had all collectively so many years of experience between them. So much so that if a young man like myself were experiencing a problem, I could go to them and ask for or seek counsel from them, and they can give me some sort of an answer or a remedy or a solution based on the accumulated amount of experiences that they've had all together as elders. And then they'll be like, well, I went through something at the age of 27, and this is how I handled it. But the thing about our council, just like a lot of our culture, when I say our culture, I'm talking about African American people, so called black people, so called. These are by names to describe or to allude to who it is that we really are. Just like that council of elders, a lot of our other culture that would have helped us navigate through the experiences that we're going through as a captive people, and we are captives. We may be at the end of that captivity, but a lot of the other cultural norms have been disbanded. So now as an individual young man who's experiencing things, and I'm so glad that I've experienced the things that I have, so that I can be a guide to somebody else who was younger than myself. Okay? All healing is self-healing. Back to the point to that line of thought. My culture has been disbanded. So then a lot of us that were born, especially, you know what I'm saying, in years past, we were going through certain experiences, certain military campaigns that were directed to break up our families, to put us in prison. I was born in the crack epidemic era. My brother was born in the heroin era coming out of the Vietnam War. So he was exposed to some things. I was exposed to some things. My mother had a mother who well, I won't go too deep into things like that, but because I'm trying to give you clear lineages and examples of things that I know within my own personal lifespan. But anyway, remember, all healing is self-healing essentially. Okay, when you know that, then you're better able to kind of navigate your way through certain things. And I would encourage for anyone um, especially a young man, being that I am a young man, you know what I'm saying, relatively young, um, being that I am a young man, I would encourage, you know what I'm saying, if there are people that are in your community that you aspire to be like, or people that you see as wise, some people that may have had a set of similar circumstances, um uh as yourself, I would encourage that you seek them out and speak to them and ask their advice, and just, you know what, man, I'm going through this problem with finance now. I mean, what did you do? Ask them that. You know what I'm saying? Or, dang, man, me and my girl, we going through hard times right now. Blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? And also be able to identify the people that you can go to talk to about certain things. And I use this example. If I am if I am an architect and I'm trying to build a strong foundation for a 100-story high-rise building, I will not go to a florist who has no experience in that. I would go to someone else who is in the same field as me, who may have a number of years of experience, more than myself, to talk to that person. Do you get my logic? If I am a pregnant woman of the age of 30, would you go to a 14-year-old middle school boy to seek advice from him, or to someone, you know what I'm saying, to I mean, it just makes sense to gather information from people that may have experienced some of the same things that you've experienced. Yes, there is empathy. Yes, someone can feel sorry for you. Yes, there is that sense or feeling of some sort of emotional support. But it makes a great difference when you're talking to someone. I just happen to practice the martial arts. It makes a difference when I'm talking about martial arts to someone who actually practices martial arts, because through experience, I can draw from their experience. And I know that we're speaking the same language. There may be a lapse in terms depending on what uh, discipline you're from. And of course, I come from the school of thought of Bruce Lee, saying that there is trying to blend styles. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, it makes sense, right? Hopefully that made sense to you. But anyway, remember, you guys, it's very important to identify the causes. You may not be able to articulate the causes of some of your shock, trauma, hurt, pain. Sometimes it when you're going through a healing process, especially if you're stretching as intensely as I do almost every day, in between, throughout the day, you know what I'm saying, then you will begin to feel you'll begin to feel like certain emotional releases, or certain things that are unresolved, but then you can identify it, you know. So it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to go through the emotional responses. It's okay to be defensive sometimes. Don't let anybody tell you that it's not okay to be defensive, especially if you've gone through certain experiences that caused you to be defensive. But I would say just recognize that there may be something there that you have to release. Okay? So all healing is self healing. Okay? You get what I'm saying? Do you really? Of course you do. And I'm talking to you, whoever may be listening to this message, because the only thing that I want to do is help. Help myself, help my family, help my community, and then help the overall global community from there, radiating outward. Okay? All right. So I hope I was clear. And I don't normally do videos like this on YouTube. Just laying in the bed, getting rest in between, work shifts and all of that stuff. So, yeah, this message is for you who may have heard it. All right. It's a long one, but I'll put it out there. All right. Peace.